What is going on, you guys? If you're watching this video right now, then there's a good chance that you're considering a move into Longmont, Colorado. Or maybe you're just curious as to what Longmont, Colorado costs. What is the cost of living? So I'm gonna dive in deep and really give it to you right after this. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. You're watching Living in Denver with your Colorado real estate family. Pete, just riding solo today. I don't have Chelsea to keep me in line, so hopefully you can bear with me for these next few minutes because she's honestly the better face to look at. So, all right, do me a quick favor. Give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and the notification bell. Super important, you guys, because people like you who are watching this video, curious about these different cities that we cover in the Denver metro area. We try and cover everything we can to kind of make you a little bit more knowledgeable about those areas. And with that knowledge, I'm telling you right now, licensed real estate broker here, I am more than happy to help you with your real estate purchases in Colorado. Whether you're moving in, moving around, doesn't matter. I'm here. And so let's go ahead and check out Longmont from the sky's view. Be right back. All right, here we go. We're going to dive in. We're going to really kind of go into the cost of living in Longmont, Colorado. And so if this is your first time watching one of our cost of living videos, gonna have to bear with me a little bit. If this is your first time watching one of our cost of living videos, we always like to approach it on a baseline where your national average is 100, right? And so any numbers that we come in that are higher than a national average of 100 is going to be more expensive than your national average. If it comes in below, obviously it means it's cheaper than your national average. So we're really going to dive in. And so Longmont, Colorado as a whole, putting all the expenses together, we're talking about your health, your groceries, your real estate, you're looking at a 122 out of 100. So it is more expensive than your national average. I'm going to tell you right now that this momentum that it's gained over these last few years is hugely attributed to that, because Longmont used to kind of always be the outlying area of Boulder or even Denver that people went to when it was a little bit more affordable. It is still more affordable in those cities, you guys, but I mean, as far as national average goes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, right? And so 122, let's break that down into these categories. What goes into that? What are we looking at for those costs of living and why it's at that 122? First one's being grocery. Grocery is at a 101.4. And this is one that I'm always kind of like, what is it about grocery, how it could be a little bit more, a little bit less, or whatever. In Colorado, it's usually right around, it's always surrounding that 100 national average, right? As far as expenses go, groceries really aren't that bad in Colorado. We're usually like hovering right around that, but unless we had a video that we did in Evergreen, and up there, you don't have as much accessibility to kind of your more corporate style, or I guess your nationwide style Kroger's, Walmart's. And so I could see how that would heavily attribute to, your cost of groceries in whatever cities we cover. But Longmont, you're going to have all those. You're going to have all your Kroger's, your King Supers is who Kroger is essentially in Colorado. You have your Walmarts, your Safeways. So you are going to have access to those. Groceries, like I said, as far as national average, it's hovering right around the same. So health in Longmont. And this is one that we always cover in Colorado when we're talking about these cities. Healthcare in Colorado is pretty cheap in regards to, compared to the national average. It's at a 94.2 in Longmont. So you have some great hospitals there. We're talking about your doctor visits. We're talking about your dental visits. All those kind of, those annual things that you have to do in regards to healthcare. And so Colorado has some great healthcare, guys. No matter what, they've just built a brand new hospital up there right off of the highway, the main highway that goes into Longmont. And so it's great to know that you're not only going to have great healthcare, but it's also going to come at a good price, right? So that's something to always kind of look at when you're comparing these cities back and forth, because I know like one of our cheapest ones, I think it was probably Evergreen, and it was closer to like a 92. Either way, you're going to have some great healthcare at a good value. All right, cool. So the next one we're going to cover, which is obviously my specialty, is your housing. What's the housing like in Longmont, Colorado? And if we're compared to the national average, you got your national average right here. You're coming in at a 172, so just above that national average. And here's the reason why. Like I said, Boulder, everyone knows, I mean, for those of you who've heard of Boulder, it's a super desirable place to be. Well, guess what? Longmont is right outside of it. And so you have a lot of people who are kind of taking advantage of that Longmont cheapness and still be able to commute to Boulder or even into Denver. Longmont's going to be a little bit cheaper than both of those, but it is higher than your national average. And so what does that mean? So we're looking at a median price point of $508 in Longmont, Colorado. In the housing, we could look at rents and all that stuff, whatever, but your rents, I mean, they crept up a little bit higher in regards to, year over year for a little bit there, but I mean, they go up pretty steadily with your housing. And in Longmont, you're looking at probably about a 10 to 11% appreciation over the last 12 months. So that 508 median price point is over the last 12 months. So from August of 2020 to August to 2021, you gain that almost 10 to 11%, right? So it's great to know that, you can kind of still buy a great house in the area. It all depends on where you're at too. They have some outlying suburban areas outside of the downtown Longmont, but the closer you get where you get kind of those nicer Victorian style houses in the downtown Longmont area, you might be spending a little bit more. So this is just a good heads up. Where do I want to be in Longmont? But for the most part, you're sticking right around that 500 price point in regards to your median price point. All right, cool guys. Next thing we're going to cover is your utilities. Utilities, so you got your national average. It comes in right below it at a 98.2. Utilities, what's covered in this? We're talking about any of the gases that's running your houses. So for here in Colorado, most of it's natural gas. Unless you're kind of off the grid a little bit, then you're looking more at your propane, right? Also in the summertime, you run your AC a lot. So that's going to be incorporated into your electricity. Run the AC in the summertime. Water. We don't have an abundant amount of rain that comes in Colorado like a lot of other states like Oregon I mentioned in a previous video. And so you are using quite a bit of water in the summertime. Wintertime, you're using a lot more than natural gas, of course, because you have to heat your house, right? And so utilities isn't too bad. I mean, it's below your national average. You're in Longmont for the most part. You're on the public lines. You don't have to really worry too much about being off grid with the septic and all those good things. So, but yeah, like I said, it's great to know that it's a little bit below your national average. And so let's go ahead and dig into the next one. All right, so the next topic that we're going to cover is your transportation. What's covered in your transportation? We're talking about the cost to maintenance your car, the cost to insure your car, any public transit that you kind of have in the area. What does that look like in Longmont, Colorado? And it's at a 92.5, so it's right below your national average, which is great. They do have some buses that run throughout Longmont. Insurance is a little bit cheaper. You don't have as much congestion, so I'd say, just personal preference. The closer you get to Denver, that insurance for your car is going to go up a little bit more because guess what? You got more traffic, more accidents. And so it's nice to know that, the insurance companies are coming in and they might be like, hey, your insurance is going to be a little bit cheaper, kind of being more located in Longmont, Colorado. But the fact that it's below your national average, always a great thing. It's always great to know that you're going to move into a great city and still kind of be paying less. So the last topic that we're really going to kind of cover, actually, I'm going to throw a bonus to you right after this one is your miscellaneous. What's your miscellaneous? It's like, what are the cost of your restaurants, your food, your shopping if you decide to go and, you know, check out those little stores, clothes shopping and all the good things. What is it going to cost, miscellaneous? And we're right at a 109.7. So right above your national average. Boom, I got to get my finger. There we go. So yeah, it is a little bit more expensive than your national average. I mean, going into this, our restaurants aren't bad here. When you go out to get, I always compare it to like a good burger, right? And in my mindset, a good burger and fries, you're looking at like right around $12. You definitely stick around that in the Longmont area. They have all your good restaurants, all your franchises that you're kind of looking for. So as far as the miscellaneous goes, hey, you know, it's not too bad. It is, you know, almost 10 points higher than the national average, but you're not going to be getting too crazy in regards to that. All right, so the bonus cost that I'm going to kind of throw at you guys right now is sales tax. I always like to kind of dive into this because guess what? Even if we look at, you know, your income taxes and all that stuff, when you go out shopping, what are you typically going to pay on those purchases that you're making in Longmont, Colorado? And so Longmont, Colorado sales tax currently in 2021 is 8.52%. Rule of thumb that we've always talked about is if you're in between that 8 and 9, that's pretty normal for the Denver metro area. Here's one huge contributor, though, to that Longmont sales tax, RTD, which is our transportation system, building that light rail station that we talk about all the time. So Longmont, a few years back, I'm not really sure which year it was, they passed legislation where they were implementing a new tax towards RTD that was going to help with that light rail system, get the light rail tracks up to Longmont, Colorado. Here's the big thing, guys. So it came in, I think it's like 1%. So you got the 8.52%. Without that RTD tax, it would have been at a 7.52%. Longmont, this is rubbing them raw so much right now because they're sitting here saying, hey, we've been paying this extra tax. We paid for these tracks. We paid for the light rail. Where is our light rail station?
The sure goods?
There is.
Yeah. You're near in town, right?
Call this a town? Yeah.
Well, first of all, there's 17 cents new in town tax. And there's 45 cents rowboat under the wharf tax and $1 leaving your junk lying around the wharf tax. So altogether, you owe the Commodore $1.87.
Yeah, and it's a good question. RTD, it just, you know, the expenses and stuff, it ended up costing way more than they expected to get these lines ran out to the outlying, you know, Denver metro area. And so it's kind of, it's hard to say when the light rail station will be getting up to Longmont, Colorado, but right now it's just, they're a little ticked off about it because, like I said, they implemented that brand new sales tax. Where's their light rail station? So just something to kind of that you're going to have to run into when you're in Longmont, Colorado. You know, people just, they're kind of upset about it, and rightfully so, for sure. So, all right, guys, cool. Well, I tried keeping this short and sweet for you. The cost of living in Longmont, Colorado. Like I said, I mean, we love doing these videos for you. And more importantly, like, we love helping you with your real estate purchases in Colorado. Do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up. If you have any other topics or any comments that you'd like, please leave below, and we are more happy to cover them for you. Until next time, we love you. Bye.